Someone told me last week, aren't you a bit too old to start a music career? And I had to laugh, because what they don't know is that the old idea that you have to be discovered and molded by a record label to succeed just doesn't apply anymore. Here's the thing, whether you make it or not has almost nothing to do with your age and everything to do with something else entirely. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you why age might actually be your superpower in music, and the traps you need to avoid, especially if you're starting later in life, like me. And at the end, I'll share the 3 things you must have to succeed, no matter when you start. Welcome to Fredlight After Hours. My name is Fredrik, and I'm an independent trance and dance pop artist and producer. Now, full transparency, I'm still on this journey myself. I haven't quit my day job. I'm not some overnight success story with a 6-figure following on social media. I don't have platinum records or tens of millions of streams yet. But what I do know is what works, the mindset you need, and how the industry really operates today. This video is about sharing those insights with you, so whether you're just starting out or thinking about a fresh start later in life, you'll get a realistic, no fluff picture of what pursuing music as a career can look like at any age. So let's start by clearing up one of the biggest myths that makes people hesitate: the idea that music is a young person's game. The belief that if you haven't made it in your 20s, it's too late, just doesn't hold up anymore. As long as you create great songs that are produced to the standards of your genre and actively market them, you will gain listeners. And if you do that consistently, those listeners will turn into fans. Age just isn't a factor in that process. Sure, the entertainment industry loves youth because it's marketable, but talent, skill, and storytelling don't expire. And the truth of the matter is, we don't even need the labels and A&Rs anymore. They used to be the gatekeepers, but today, with Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, and Bandcamp, anyone can reach a global audience without industry connections. To give you a couple of examples, Chapter and Verse started DJing and producing around the age of 40. Today, he's got over 426,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and more than 111,000 followers on Instagram. Some might argue that he got lucky for knowing a bunch of established bigger DJs, but I say he's been grinding relentlessly and he's definitely self-made. Then we have Nick Hayes, aka The Last DJ, who began DJing and producing techno at the age of 67. While his Spotify numbers are still modest, he has a 216k Instagram following and a YouTube channel with over 248,000 subscribers. While none of them is at the superstar level like Tiesto or David Guetta, they are absolutely crushing it. And what about me? Well, I'm 53, and 4 years into the Fredlight project, I peaked at 42k monthly listeners, actually this June after my album dropped. And I have around 15k followers across my social platforms, and well over 2 million streams on Spotify. This is not about bragging, it just proves that starting small and scaling up works. What it also proves is that you can release music and build a loyal fan base on your own instead of waiting for approval from labels, regardless of how old you are. And if you do it well enough, the labels might even knock on your door instead of the other way around. Age isn't a limitation. Consistent effort, focus, and leveraging your accumulated experience can turn modest beginnings into real momentum. In fact, starting later in life can actually give you an edge, if you know how to use it. So let's talk about the 7 advantages or superpowers you might not even realize you already have. First, you get life experience. Your songs carry weight because you've lived through love, heartbreak, wins and losses. That depth can come through in your writing and your performance, and that's something you can't fake. Along with that comes emotional resilience. When you've been through real-life challenges, a bit of rejection from a label, a playlist owner, or a promoter doesn't crush you the way it might have in your 20s. You can take feedback without falling apart, and you know how to keep moving forward. Then there's self-awareness. You've had time to figure out your strengths and weaknesses, which means you can lean into what you do best and get help where you need it. You also bring professionalism and discipline, habits you built over the years in your life outside of music, showing up on time, following through on commitments, and working even when you don't feel like it. These are massive advantages in an industry where flakiness is the norm. And let's not forget financial stability. You may have more ability to invest in your music, whether that's gear, marketing, collaborations, or education, without needing to scrape together every dollar and live on baked beans or ramen noodles to make progress. Another major one is artistic clarity. You know what you like, you know what moves you, and you don't feel the need to chase every passing trend just to fit in. And finally, you've got a lot of fuel for a powerful brand story. Your age isn't a drawback, it's part of your narrative. People love transformation arcs, comeback stories, and underdog journeys. You're living proof that it's never too late to rewrite your life. So, before you tell yourself you're too old, remember this: a younger artist would probably kill to have most of what you already bring to the table. But let's be real, starting later in life isn't all rainbows and unicorns. It's all too easy to get stuck along the way, and here are 7 traps you need to watch out for. The first one is comparing yourself to younger artists. And this one might be one of the fastest ways to derail your motivation. This happens when you look at younger artists and feel like you're already behind. The problem isn't noticing their success, it's when you let their timeline define yours. Your race isn't against someone else's clock. It's about moving toward your potential at your pace. And then there's the endless tweaking. The trap of perfectionism is really just procrastination dressed up as high standards. Let's be honest here, a lot of the time it's not about our song needing more work, it's us doubting whether we're good enough. But perfect doesn't exist. Instead of polishing the same track for the 15th time, release it and let your audience decide if it's good or not. Done and out in the world beats flawless but unheard every single time. And even if you do put your work out there, who you show it to matters. Sharing only with friends and family or sending it to tastemakers who don't appreciate your style can throw you completely off course and be a fast track to frustration. The wrong feedback, even when it comes from good intentions, can crush your confidence or steer you toward music you don't even like making. The people who should be hearing your songs are the ones who actually enjoy the kind of music you create. And that brings me to another common mistake: aiming at the wrong crowd entirely. For instance, if you're a 40-something artist, trying to appeal to an audience of 15-year-olds will be a steep uphill battle for sure. The truth is, most of your natural audience will probably be within 10 to 15 years of your own age. And that's not a limitation, it's an advantage. Those are the listeners who will get your story and connect with your perspective. And speaking of perspective, as you grow older, you likely have a career, family, and financial commitments. And the trap isn't having them, it's pretending they don't exist and overestimating how much time you have to go all in. Do your best to balance your life outside the studio with your music career, and you'll keep making progress without wrecking your health, your relationships, or your bank account. Then there's another thing you can't ignore: visibility. You can't rely on luck or being discovered by accident anymore. You need to post content consistently and be there for your fans. Showing up online is just non-negotiable these days. The music alone isn't enough. If people don't see you or hear you regularly, you'll fade from the radar. Nobody can become a fan of something that isn't in front of them. Finally, one of the most toxic habits is blaming the system. Complaining about Spotify, labels, or algorithms might feel justified, but that's probably not what you want your audience to associate you with. And here's the thing, it used to be harder. Back in the day, a few gatekeepers decided who even got a shot at the game, whereas now you can release music to the whole world from your laptop. That doesn't mean it's easy or fair, but it does mean you have the power to create, promote, and position yourself to be discovered. Now, if you're thinking, wow, this sounds way harder than I thought it would be, you're right. Starting a music career isn't easy, especially later in life. But here's the thing. The artists who keep growing and even break through aren't superhuman. They just make the necessary everyday sacrifices. Instead of collapsing on the sofa after a long day at work, they skip the late-night TV binges, the video games, and the endless doom scrolling on socials. Instead, they choose to spend that time in their studios, grinding on yet another song or working on promotion. To be honest, I have fallen into these traps so many times, and I will do it again for sure, and so will you. But that doesn't matter as long as you recognize it and don't give up entirely thinking this wasn't for me. Just be aware of the traps, flip the script and focus on the skills, habits and consistent effort that actually move the needle. So, what's that something else I mentioned at the start? Before we dive in, let's be real. There's a big difference between making music as a hobby and treating it as a professional career. And that's what this something else is really about. 3 things that matter far more than the number of candles on your birthday cake. First, we have readiness. This is about recognizing the gap between hobby-level effort and professional-level results. It's the difference between publishing a few songs in different styles and hoping that someone will discover you, and being discovered ready, which means that your songs fit your genre, your branding looks intentional, and your online presence clearly shows who you are as an artist. Picture this, someone stumbles across your music. If everything feels half-baked or inconsistent, they'll just scroll past, right? But if you're ready, they'll see a professional, confident artist that they can take seriously. So readiness isn't just about your music or visuals, it's about mindset too. Be clear on your goals, confident in your work, and prepared for what comes next when people start noticing you. These things might take a while to figure out, and that's fine. Just keep on tweaking until it feels right. Next is willingness to work. This one is all about showing up, especially on days when you don't feel like it. Consistency is king, and for late starters like me, it's non-negotiable. That means releasing music, posting content, networking, whatever moves your career forward on a regular basis. It's easy to get discouraged when results don't come instantly or when your numbers are declining, but every post, every track, every connection builds momentum. Finally, there's your willingness to invest. You might not be able to do everything yourself, and that's okay. But if that's the case, you'll need to be ready to invest financially to bridge the gap and keep your momentum going. If there are areas where you lack time or expertise, hire someone to help you or invest in a masterclass to accelerate your learning. And to really move the needle, invest in smart promotion. Paid advertising can get your music in front of the right ears a lot faster than hoping for organic discovery alone. So the real question isn't, are you too old? The question is, do you have these 3 things? Because if you do, the answer to the first one will always be no. If you got the passion, the work ethic, and the courage to share your truth, then you're not too old. You're right on time. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and drop a comment with your age and your music goals. And for more behind-the-scenes tips on building a music career, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one. Cheers.